Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Today is July 17th. The All-Star Week is behind us, and it's on to the second half. Let's do it. Hello, everybody. My name is Steven. This is the middle of the order. How are we doing today, ladies and gentlemen? It is time for the second half of the baseball season. We've got a episode for you today. Not sure how long this is going to run because this is an unusual episode, of course. No series recap, no game of the week, no outstanding performances, no all this stuff. But there is still a good amount of things to talk about from this week. So why don't we dive right on into it and start talking about here. Let's go to the Home Run Derby. Of course, that was the first event that took place on Monday, and it was a new but old home run derby. They changed the rules from years prior to go and remove the clock and bring back swings, so basically outs. You get 20 swings, you make your most out of it, 15 in the semis, 15 in the finals. And I was very, not skeptical, but I was very like, let's give it a fair shot. Let's see how it is, if it's better, if it's worse. Is it still enjoyable? And my results do vary, but it wasn't anything bad. It was overall pretty good. I enjoyed the home run derby when I was watching it. Round one, before I get into round one, the participants, in case you missed any episodes or if you were not aware in general, Wilson Contreras, Jordan Walker, Jack Caglione, Kyle Schwarber, Ben Bryce, Junior Caminero, Munetaka Murakami, and Bryce Harper. Now, in my predictions, I had Harper and Murakami going to the finals. Neither of them even made it out of round one. They had all 8 hitters go for round one. Wilson Contreras led us off and put up 13 home runs. Jordan Walker followed with another 13 home runs. That was the highest we saw in a single round. So after the first 2 hitters of the night, we wouldn't have seen more than 13 home runs hit for the rest of the evening, for the rest of all the other performances, everyone else's turns. Jack Caglione finished with 8, and then Schwarber finished with 10. So that was how that first 4 concluded. Then Ben Rice went and had the lowest technical for the first round with 7. So he was already eliminated then. Junior Caminero was the first person, I believe, to properly find some improvement in terms of home runs per round. He ended up with 12. Which eliminated Jack Caglione. Then Murakami finished with 9. He was gone. And then Bryce Harper, it was basically down to Bryce Harper versus Kyle Schwarber, the 2 Phillies. One of them was going to knock each other out. It would have been Harper to do that, but he only ended up hitting 8. So what secured the second round was Jordan Walker, Wilson Contreras, Junior Caminero, and Kyle Schwarber. So you had the 4 versus the 1. And the 3 versus the 2. Junior Caminero being that 3 because the tiebreaker between Contreras and Walker was settled based off of the longest home run hit, which Wilson Contreras had at 490. Junior Caminero in round 2, he only hit 5 home runs. He was going up against Jordan Walker, only hit 5. He did hit the longest home run of the night at 491. We didn't see a single 500-foot bomb. But he did have that, but Jordan Walker came in and only used half of his swings, really, just over half of his swings, to get to the 6 home runs that he needed to knock out Junior Caminero. So that was done and dusted there, 5 versus 6, Walker with the 6. And then into the other round, Schwarber went first, picked up 9, and Contreras was really chasing him down towards the end there. This was where it kind of got very exciting in terms of little battles. Ended up just missing out only with 8 home runs. So Schwarber versus Jordan Walker in these finals here. And Schwarber put up an impressive 11 home runs. And I'll be honest, watching Walker in that final round, he looked gassed. He looked like he, just was going to fall short. But he caught on fire late and hit 6 straight to walk off the night with 12 home runs. Really impressive stuff from Jordan Walker, who's having his breakout year. He is the winner of the Home Run Derby, and he's the champion. And it was, like I said, overall, it was a good performance. Did I miss the clock? No. Did I love the swings? Yes and no. I think it was really cool that we got to kind of like, appreciate the home runs more. And there were some home runs that, Contreras and Walker, I mean, they definitely put up shows in those first rounds, even Jack a little bit towards the end, Caminero, etc. Where it was like, wow, these home runs are awesome. It's good to see and like watch them actually travel and everything. But yeah, I mean, there was some old problems. The Phillies fans, I gotta be honest with them, I wasn't pleased with them throughout the All Star week, and not for the booing. I don't mind booing. Obviously they boo, the Braves and the Nationals and the Mets. Like their division makes sense. They're gonna boo the Diamondbacks based off of 2023. Sure, they're gonna boo the Dodgers because of course they would. Some of the players, they obviously booed Walker on the All Star game for beating out Schwarber, in the home run derby. But like, it was just more the fact that they like, I'll get into it a little bit more in the All Star game talk, but like they just left so early. Like it was just so like Walker won and like the fans just started booking it out of the stadium. I was just like, what? But yeah, so that was my own thing. My one note and my one like key takeaway, if we're gonna fix it, the magenta balls. So the way it works is at the end when you're on your last swing, instead of the normal baseball, they have these T-Mobile like magenta balls. That's nothing new. We've had that in the home run draft years prior with the when you hit two home runs 440 feet plus, you get 30 seconds of bonus time. In those 30 seconds, you're getting those magenta balls. It's nothing new. However, for this one, when you're on your last swing, they switch to the magenta balls. And again, if you homer on the last swing, you can keep homering until you get out, until you miss a swing, whatever. Um, I think we didn't have that until the finals. Like Jordan Walker was one of the only people to like actually homer on his last swings there, which sucked because I was really hoping like, oh, you're three homers out, and now you're gonna hit four straight to win it, to move on to the next round or to beat the semis. And we didn't have that at all. And I think part of the reason was because you're so used to hitting baseballs, in your career when you play baseball in general, but then also in the home run derby, you're looking at baseballs, the first 14 to 20 pitches, whatever it is that you're seeing are the white baseballs. And then when magenta comes into play, especially at Citizens Bank Park where there's red around, I think it was too hard for the hitters to see, which is why so many kept getting under those pitches and why we didn't see any really continuations of rounds really, which kind of made the draft, the derby a little bit shorter, which I don't really care about. But as cool as I mentioned the balls are, and they are cool, it doesn't work. They should just keep the white balls, or at least change it up in some regard, because then you're missing out on that last pitch, that last swing efforts that people want to see. But yeah, as expected, it was less homers, but again, you got to enjoy it more. Overall, like I said, it was good. Nothing crazy. Liked it. It's a home run derby. It's what you expect. I was satisfied with the event. Moving into now the All-Star game, we had the AL taking on the NL as per usual. And Philly native there, not Philly native, but of course he plays for the Phillies, Christopher Sanchez, got the bump for the NL, while Dylan Cease got the bump for the AL. And already in the top of the first, Sanchez was running himself into problems. Gave up 3 hits, 2 walks, and gave up 3 earned runs. Bellinger, a 2 RBI single, followed by his teammate Ben Rice with an RBI single to get AL up to a quick 3-0 lead. Meanwhile, Dylan Cease came in from the Toronto Blue Jays and struck out the side. Went strikeout, strikeout, walk, strikeout. And it was a pretty impressive night from AL pitching as a whole. The combined 11 pitchers picked up 15 strikeouts, which I believe is a record for the All-Star game. Only one AL pitcher did not get a strikeout, and that was the very last guy of the game, Brian Baker, who he only needed to get 1 out anyways. Chapman got the first 2 outs of the 9th inning. Baker came in, gave up a hit, and then got the last batter there to ground out to end The ball game, of course. Before that, though, Miguel Vargas hits a solo shot home run. It's the only other run of the game. So the AL defeats the NL 4-0 in this one. Some other notes from this game. Junior Caminero left it after a hit by pitch by the hand. Riley O'Brien was the pitcher from there, so that would definitely suck. But X-rays are negative. He, I believe, is day-to-day, but should be fine to kick off the second half here. The NL, despite striking out 15 times, they only ended up with 3 hits in this game. Juan Soto, Pete Crow Armstrong, and then Otto Lopez there, basically averaging a hit every 3 innings. It was not a great game from the NL as a whole. Cody Bellinger was named the MVP for his 2-run single in the top of the first. Of course, those runs are already the difference in this game because the NL did not score a single run. It was the 4th Yankee to accomplish an All-Star Game MVP. You had your mid-game bike fireworks show thing that they did. Of course, America celebrating 250. All that stuff there. And yeah, as a whole, game was an all-star game. It was, guys doing interviews and guys being mic'd up and just having fun. You get to see players on the bench, Justin Verlander talking to guys, Mike Trout talking to guys. You get to see like these players that you wouldn't naturally see in the dugouts, talking it up, talking baseball, just having a good time. And that's what it really is all about. It is fun to see some of these great pitchers play. I mean, Foster Griffin for the Nationals, he had 2 strikeouts there for the Nats. Lazardo had a clean inning with a strikeout, so there was some good stuff there. Dylan Cease with the win because of the 1 inning, 3 Ks. But I mean, Messick a strikeout, Waka 2 strikeouts, Joe Ryan 2 strikeouts, Nick Martinez a strikeout, Kate Smith 2 strikeouts, Drew Rasmussen a strikeout, Jacob Latz a strikeout, Louis Varland a strikeout, Aroldis Chapman a strikeout. So like it was really just a fun game overall. And this kind of goes to my problem with the Phillies fans in this All-Star game. It was like the 8th inning, and I'm watching the game, and I'm like looking at home plate, and behind it, there are so many empty seats. It cuts to a view of the stadium. There's just so many empty seats, so many fans left early. And at the end of the day, yes, your Phillies are in the NL, and your NL was really bad, but this is still one of the coolest games of the year is the All-Star Game. Even if it is a bad All-Star Game, and like, yes, obviously an amazing All-Star Game would be so awesome to have like home runs going back and forth and 2-run doubles followed by an RBI single, and it's a back and forth header and it ends on a swing off. Like, that would be awesome, but you still have this game. Like, when's the last time you're going to see like a combined, 80 All-Stars in the same building playing baseball? Like, it does not happen. You're going to go from the All-Star game to watching your Phillies play. And like, listen, no offense to the Phillies because they're an amazing team. They've been a great team since they fired Thompson and Don Mattingly took over. But like, Edmundo Sosa and like Alec Boehm doesn't compete with the All-Stars that you got to watch. And so many people left early. You probably paid so much money and you left early. It was a bad taste in my mouth. I did not like seeing those empty seats. And I mean, MLB has its own problem because then, when they were announcing Cody Bellinger as the MVP, you hear this crowd erupt when they say his name. The crowd is gone. Like, MLB's just playing soundtracks at that point. They did so at the home run derby as well when Jordan Walker was getting his chain and getting his whole interview being done. You have this crowd being like kind of erupting a little bit. Like, it was like and there's no one there. There's no crowd. No one's cheering. Like, yeah, you had his family and everything, but like, it wasn't enough cheers for it to come across in the broadcast. So MLB will add their own, crowd cheers and broadcast sounds to the broadcast. When it's not, in reality, it's not there, which again is a problem because Phillies fans, like, what were you doing? Like, enjoy the game. Yeah, the NL is losing, but like, still, like, what an experience to get to live through. And I mean, I've found Phillies fans, listen, booing, like I said earlier, booing players or teams that you don't like, that's one thing. Phillies fans, Yankees fans, Mets fans, those 3 are like the kings of that. They boo their own players for crying out loud, but still, like, this was still a once-in-a-lifetime experience potentially, and like, it just seemed like they didn't give a shit, which from fans from around other teams and other places around the world and people who actually watched this and actually gave a shit about it, You wouldn't have got me dead leaving the game. It could have been, for me as a fan of an AL team, it could have been like 30-0 NL, or it could have been an absolute just blowout, no way we would win. And I would have had a smile on my face, a drink in my hand. I would have been enjoying the hell out of that All-Star game. It could have been 1-0 NL, and it would have been the most boring baseball game ever. And you would have seen me eat that shit up because it's such a cool experience. So yeah, that's my takeaway. All-Star game, it was good, whatever. Cool to see, obviously, Justin Verlander, his last All-Star game. He obviously didn't play in it, but to see him in the dugout, chopping it up, that was cool as well. So I digress. Those were the All-Star festivities. Let's get into the baseball news. And we have, of course, now that the All-Star game is over, the focus will be shifting towards the trade deadline. And before we even talk about that, we did get a trade over the week here. Lance McCullers Jr., longtime Astro for over 10 years, is going to Milwaukee. The Brewers are acquiring Lance McCullers Jr. as well as left-handed pitcher Colton Gordon and cash considerations to cover up McCullers some of his contract. The Astros, in return, are just getting one prospect player, an infielder with the name of Jaden Fielder. And if that last name sounds familiar, it is because, yes, it is the son of former Brewer and Major League ball player and Texas Ranger and Tiger, Prince Fielder. So Prince Fielder, his son Jaden Fielder, is the prospect the Astros are getting in return for Lance McCullers, plus another prospect and cash as a whole. McCullers, once great player, great pitcher, can stabilize a rotation, and he's been able to do that before in the past for Houston. It's funny, when you look at his page, you go back before like 2022, like from 2015 to 2022, his 1 year as an All-Star was in 2017 when they won the World Series that year. That's the year he actually had his worst ERA, which is just funny. But then again, the problem with Lance McCullers Jr. has never been about how good he's been. It's about health. In 2016, he only made 14 starts. In 2019, he did not play at all with an injury, was back for COVID, made 11 starts that year. 2021 was good. Then 2022, he went down after making only 8 starts, did not play in 2023, did not play in 2024, missed 2 full seasons before finally making his return in 2025, where he only got into 16 games. He started off this year kind of struggling in 8 starts, 39 innings, with a 6.86 ERA. And then, of course, the inevitable happens where he lands himself back on the IL. In a 10-year playing career, basically, because obviously 2015 to now 2026 is 11 years. But in 3 of those years, you're not playing. So in what Baseball Reference has is a 9-year career. He's got 9.2 WAR, a 3.85 ERA, and 154 games across 9 years. Technically 11. Definitely an injured-riddled career here. Not sure when he's expected to be off the IL, but again, he can help stabilize rotation. He has been a good pitcher in the past, and the Brewers have a knack, similar to the Rays, to turn guys into really good ball players. So the 2-time World Series champion, 1-time All-Star, heading towards Milwaukee, hoping to figuring it out when he can get healthy and help the Brewers down the stretch here into the postseason, which they're on pace to make again here in 2026 here. Moving on here, the Reds are another team here that have continued to ink up their young players. Chase Burns having a fantastic year. I would put him in maybe top 5 in the NL Cy Young voting. He has been locked up on a 7-year deal worth $105 million. Of course, before the CBA stuff all happens, and who knows what things are going to look like come 2027, it is important for players and some teams to kind of get those extensions and to get those things now while they still can before it is too late. Basically getting paid $15 million a year. That will cancel out his last 2 years of pre-arbitration, all 3 years of his arbitration, and add 2 more years on top of that. He is scheduled to be a free agent at the end of 2033, so the 2034 season. That is where Chase Burns will be a free agent. Of course, he made his debut last year, got into 13 games, and had his ups and downs, but so far in his first official big league year. He's been nothing short of dominant. In 18 starts, he has a 2.54 ERA. He, of course, was at the All-Star game and has his first ever All-Star appearance under his belt. Not only that, but he is a big reason the Reds win some games. His win-loss is 11-1. That's something you don't see nowadays to indicate a really elite pitcher, which Chase Burns, again, has been this year. 102 innings, 29 earned runs with 118 strikeouts. He's been very good. And now the Reds have two of their, flame-throwing pitchers locked up, Chase Burns and Hunter Green. But of course, Hunter Green, a little bit older, has been around a little bit longer, but Chase Burns kind of taken over here. So good for him and good for the Reds. Of course, Chase Burns, again, a very good pitcher. We move on now. The 2027 MLB schedule was released over the week as something else that happened as well. I will say it's a little bit different getting the schedule this year because is there going to be baseball next year? Like, who really knows what's going on? They have an opening night on March 24th before the traditional opening day, which would be on March 25th. It is the earliest an opening day would ever be if it is going to come to fruition. Again, the pending lockout, who knows if there's going to be a 2027 season, if it will be shortened, will both parties be able to come to agreement before that? I have no idea. It's funny, though, that the earliest opening day has ever been is when they're on this pressure to kind of make a deal. And this is something that MLB did. So MLB kind of not pressuring the players union, but like, it's just like, maybe you should have made opening day a little bit later, just in case you needed that extra couple of days to iron out any last kinks before the baseball season started. Like, I don't know what the plan is here. Again, the schedule is out. You can look at your favorite team schedules. You can be like, oh, this day is really cool. I hope we get to go. Well, I just hope there is baseball in 2027. So something to look at if you're looking into this season. Otherwise, just wait and see throughout the season, throughout the winter months here, if a new CBA is signed, because that's what, of course, we're waiting for here. And that kind of brings us to the end here of the All-Star stuff and all of the other news, which brings us to the ending of July here. We're July 17th. We got 64 to 68 games left, and all of our eyes are going to be shifting to the trade deadline. We basically have, I want to say, 2.5 weeks, 2 weeks basically for before the trade deadline here. And there is a lot still to figure out here. One thing I will say while looking at the teams, I think there's 8 teams, maybe less than 8 teams, that you can easily say will be sellers. The Royals, the Angels, the Rockies, the Giants, the Mets, the Reds. Basically those 6. Those 6 are definitely sellers. Those are the only 6 that you can confidently say will be like, oh yeah, they're going to be selling. The A's are in a tricky position. Because they were in the mix for, the division and for a postseason spot, but they've lost 9 straight. They've been swept 3 straight series. They need to get hot quickly. They're 6.5 back of the wild card, but every other team in the AL and the NL are within 4 games of the wild card. And as I mentioned, 64 to 68 games away. So a team like the Nationals, Padres, those 2 teams that are just under 500 and 500. The Padres 3.5 out of the wild card. Nationals 4 games out of the wild card. Like, could they be sellers? Could someone come knocking for like a Foster Griffin? Maybe, and maybe if the price is right. But again, they're just 4 games out too. They could push. So like the Nats, the Padres, Diamondbacks, Pirates, Cardinals, all those teams, they could be chasing. The Tigers, the Blue Jays, Baltimore, Houston. Like right now, these next 2 weeks are going to be big. Basically, you have like 3 series for some of these outsider teams. If they get hot, then they're obviously going to be buyers. If they get cold, like right now, if Houston, who's 47-51, only a game and a half out of the wild card, if they come into the second half and lose 8 straight, all of a sudden that game and a half will probably be looking like 7 games out. And at that point, it's like, yeah, why don't we sell off a couple players here and try to retool a little bit for next year and have a better chance, right? So Right now, I can only confidently say that like the Reds, who are 8 games out of a wild card, the Giants are 10.5, the Mets are 11.5, Rockies 13.5. Like, yeah, with an average of what 65, 66 games still to go, there is still time for all 30 teams to make the postseason, but you have to be realistic. Realistically, the Angels and Royals, who still don't even have 40 wins on the season, are not going to be postseason teams there. So that's some interesting stuff for you there. Of course, the rumor mill will start spreading. Of course, Tarek Skubal headlines it for the Tigers, who are trying to get hot. Luis Arias, Mason Miller, Robbie Ray, Michael Wacha, Freddie Peralta, Clay Holmes, Mickey Moniak, JJ Bleday, Heliot Ramos, Tyler Stevenson, Hunter Goodman, Spencer Steer, AJ Minter, Seth Lugo, Ty France, even Francisco Lindor. I mean, those are all the players really from those 6 teams that I mentioned, plus a couple of stragglers in there as well, who, like, yeah, they could all easily be sold. So, like, if your team needs a catcher, Tyler Stevenson, Hunter Goodman, I mean, that'd be a pretty penny to pay if you're going to go call the Rockies up. But Hunter Goodman's probably one of the best hitting catchers in the league right now. Like, he could easily help any offense out. Luis Arias, of course, what his contact ability is. If you need some bullpen help, you got AJ Minter, you got Mason Miller, who knows if the Padres will be fielding offers, Clay Holmes, Freddie Peralta for some starters from the Mets. So, like, the rumor mill will start to spend, and obviously as we get closer and closer to that deadline, we're going to see more and more moves happen. It'll be interesting to see which kind of teams take those first couple of steps here. If there's any trades that happen over, let's say, this weekend, right? Who's desperate right now to try to get into the postseason spot? Like, that will be very interesting, figuring things out basically for some teams. So the trade deadline, that's what awaits us right now. That's what we're looking for. And yeah, that's basically the baseball news. That brings us to stat leaderboard, I guess. There's nothing really else here. Of course, from the last time we did the stat leaderboard, there was only 3 games that happened, so not a whole lot has changed. Just a couple of numbers here. Average, Otto Lopez, 334. Hits, Otto Lopez, 127. Kyle Schwarber, home runs, 32. Jordan Walker for RBIs, 74. James Wood for runs, 89. James Wood for walks, 79. Nazmin Nunez for stolen bases, 34. Jordan Alvarez for OPS, 1.059. Aaron Ashby for wins at 12. Jacob Mizorowski for ERA at 1.62. Jacob Mizorowski for strikeouts is 167. And then Cade Smith for saves is 28. Those are the league leaders as we enter the second half of the MLB season. And the big question here is, what are the upcoming series to start the second half? Of course, some teams need to start off hot. And we start with a 2024 World Series rematch. The Dodgers are in New York to take on the Yankees. 2 teams battling in the AL East, the Rays and the Red Sox. The Red Sox are baseball's hottest team on a 9-game winning streak. They're looking to make that 10. The White Sox against the Blue Jays. Blue Jays need to figure it out quick. Padres at Royals gives the Padres a chance to battle out some of the weaker teams there. Pirates at Guardians. Tigers at Angels. The Giants are taking on the Mariners. Good one there for Seattle to get going. The Oilers are against the Astros. That's an interesting series. Both these teams are basically half a game within each other. So that could be a fun, close series there. The Nationals are playing the Athletics, and the Athletics need to get hot. They got to figure it out. They're on a 9-game losing streak. MLB's coldest team in baseball needs to find a win before they lose double digits. The Rangers are taking on the Braves, who have to now hold off both the Phillies and the Marlins, who are coming for that NL East title. Meanwhile, the Mets get the Phillies in Philadelphia here, while the Marlins are going up against the NL Central champ right now, the Milwaukee Brewers. The Twins will be taking on the Cubs, Cardinals at D-backs, and the Reds and the Rockies. That is your upcoming series. That now brings us to the playoff predictor. If the baseball season ended today, who is currently in it? Well, in the AL, we have our 6-seeded Mariners taking on the 3-seeded Rangers, while the 5-seeded Guardians take on the 4-seeded Yankees. The Rangers beat the Mariners. The Yankees beat the Guardians. So your ALDS matchups include the Rangers at the White Sox, who are the 2 seed. Yankees at the Rays, who are the 1 seed. White Sox handle Texas, while the Yankees upset the Rays. Your ALCS matchups are the Yankees at the White Sox, which the Yankees beat the White Sox. In the NL side of things, the Marlins are your 6 seed. They take on the Braves, who are the 3 seed. Phillies, the 5 seed, taking on the Cubs, who are the 4 seed. Braves beat the Marlins, while the Phillies handle the Cubs. So your NLDS matchups are the Braves at the Brewers, who are the 2 seed, while the Phillies take on the Dodgers, who are the 1 seed. Of course, the Dodgers beat the Phillies, while the Braves handle the Brewers. So your NLCS matchup, it's a good one. The Braves and the Dodgers, and it is the Atlanta Braves that beat the Dodgers. They head to the World Series to take on the Yankees. Yankees at Braves, and it is your Atlanta Braves that are your 2026 World Series champions if the season ended today. Ladies and gentlemen, that is going to do it for our episode here today. I appreciate you all. As I mentioned, 64 to 68 games remain in the season, depending on who your team is. Strength of schedule has the Mets, the Reds, and the Cubs with the 3 hardest strength of schedules left, while teams like Cleveland, Houston, and the Rays have the 3 easiest, teams ahead of them there. So that's some fun stuff there for you if you care about strength of schedule at all, if you think that matters. We've got some hot teams. We've got some cold teams. We've got the second half of the season to unpack. And right now, all eyes are on one thing. That is the trade deadline. So stay tuned for all of that and more. Ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate you all. Thank you, everybody, so much. And I will see you on Monday.